Now we have Senator Cortez Masto.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Thank you to the panelists here. In one of the hearing rooms across the way, there is a hearing going on regarding the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. And let me just say, I think we should be doing everything to support the people living there, the businesses there, and hold accountable anybody who contribute to that negligence. But this derailment is one of the many reasons we in Nevada have serious concerns with any potential efforts to move spent nuclear fuel and high-level radioactive waste to the proposed repository at Yucca Mountain. It is worth noting that the Yucca Mountain project would not be a small project. It would require the shipment of over 9,000 casks of high-level nuclear waste on 2,800 trains over the next 50 years through some of Nevada's most visited and populated areas and many other communities across this country. It's a prime example of why state consent is critical. Shipments would pass through communities throughout Nevada. It's vital we have a buy-in from all impacted levels of government when we're talking about nuclear waste storage. I appreciate the chairman's comments on this and continued support. I also know I appreciate Assistant Secretary Huff, your comments earlier today in your opening statement and the Biden administration's continued commitment to consent-based siting for nuclear waste storage and disposal facilities. It is something we have to address. We all agree. We have to move forward to address this issue, and I'm hopeful we can all work together to find a solution, because I think that's what it's going to require, not just for us, but the future generations, and moving into the 21st century with the technology that's out there that's going to provide us these opportunities to really find a solution here. Assistant Secretary Huff, let me ask you this. Your written testimony touched on existing nuclear waste recycling policies in France, other European countries, as well as Russia, China, and Japan. I'm going to ask, and Dr. Wagner, you touched a little bit on this. How do these efforts compare and differ from ongoing U.S. recycling efforts? And Dr. Wagner, can you just speak to a little bit more what the laboratory is doing and conducting in this space? Is recycling possible? So let me start with you, Assistant Secretary Huff.
Yeah, I'll just briefly say that the United States, while we currently don't encourage commercial reprocessing actively, we are continuing and will continue to do research and development as the economics and safeguards and security of that technology evolve. We're supporting lots of research and development in advanced fuel cycles that improve those economics and improve the security of those technologies. And I think there's a lot of hope for making sure that there are options in the future.
Dr. Wagner?
If I may, first let me say the concerns there with the train derailment, I hope that does lead to reforms. I will note that having been directly involved in designing and licensing spent fuel transportation casks, the level of rigor as required by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission on those packages is substantially different. There's some really interesting videos of trains being intersected directly perpendicularly with casks and what happens. They're a very, very robust system. So I just would like to share that with you. In terms of recycling, what are we doing specifically? If you look back in history, a lot of that recycling technology, spent nuclear fuel recycling technology, was developed here in the United States. And for years, actually decades, we did recycle particularly highly enriched uranium spent fuel from the DOE reactors. That was an active thing that was being done in many different cases, including naval spent nuclear fuel, as well as the experimental breeder reactor 2, demonstrated a closed nuclear fuel cycle. So a lot of that technology was developed here. What we are doing currently is we were already processing the HEU, high enriched uranium material, for disposal. That was the intention initially. And as this need for high-assay LEU developed, it was realized that rather than preparing this material as waste, we could actually clean it up a little bit further and use it as fuel again. And so that's what we're doing. But what we are doing is limited to the Department of Energy-owned material with specific goals of kind of filling the near-term gap in some cases for high-assay LEU.
Thank you. I appreciate this. And I appreciate your comments about the trains. And let me just say this. I'm third-generation Nevadan. We were also told by the scientists and the federal government that atomic testing in Nevada deserts was safe for everyone. And that is proven not to be the case. So my concern is we need to get this right, and we have an opportunity now to really focus on moving forward. We know the science isn't safe at Yucca Mountain. It's proven. We have an opportunity to work together with new technology moving forward to address this issue. We are operating under an archaic law. It's an archaic law that's basically saying, go back and review the Model T in a Ford manufacturing plant and tell us whether it's safe or not. When we're moving into the 21st century with new technology that gives us the ability to really focus on this for the future. And all I'm asking, I think many of us are, let's get it right. We spent 40 years not doing anything, and it's wrong. It's wrong. And so let's get it right moving forward. Let's take the science, let's take it, move it, and move this ball forward for everybody in our future. And finally, and I appreciate, I know I'm over my time, there is an opportunity with advanced nuclear reactors. And I'm here to tell you, just because we are fighting to protect Nevada and the people and businesses that live there and the over 40 million tourists that come here from a storage site that is not technically sound by the science, does not mean that we don't support clean energy and this idea that this technology is going to take us in a new direction. But we also know we got to get it right. And that's why we need to work together, not play politics with this important issue. So I thank you for being here. I appreciate the comments today, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Hyde-Smith.